My name is Godfrey, and I'm the Executive Director of GALA Choruses. My professional background is in finance and accounting. So I was actually introduced to GALA doing some financial consulting work for them, and really never had any intention of becoming the Executive Director of a nonprofit. But during the time I was doing the consulting work, the then current executive director left. I was asked to fill in as interim, so I did that for a while and found that I was really intrigued with the organization and ultimately decided to apply for the position. I like to build things. It's it's who I am. If I had been born a boy, I would undoubtedly have been a construction worker. But in my life, it ended up being expressed as a love of building businesses. So that was one of the things about GALA that intrigued me. It was an interesting business model. Music has been a part of my life for as long as I can remember, since I was just a little girl singing in a church choir. So kind of that intersection of truly loving choral music, intrigued by the ability to rebuild this business a little bit, became a very interesting opportunity for me. I'm from a little town on the Ohio border called Sharon. We ended up there. My father worked with Westinghouse. I was your classic high school athlete dyke. I grew up with sports. I wanted to do the kinds of things that the guys were doing. I wanted to play with trucks. I wanted to play sports. That was just who I was. I was a tomboy, and I adored and still adore basketball. So I think probably half of my high school basketball team were lesbians. And we all kind of discovered that about each other in that process. And, it led to the usual high school taunting. As I came to understand that about myself, I couldn't reconcile the image that I had at that time of a gay adult with who I saw myself becoming. GALA caused me to begin to think about what is this process by which you change people's hearts and minds? How does that happen? And what's the role of GALA in that process? And I think as I thought more and more about that, I really became convinced that it's a function of, as people come to realize that GLBT folks are not the stereotypes that they might be familiar with from the press, but they're my sister or my neighbor or my coworker. That's where you can get that change in attitude. Suddenly it's personal, and when the question comes up on things like marriage equality, it's not in the context of someone you feel a group you feel no connection to, but it's in the context of, wow, this really matters to some people I care about. That's what really became interesting for me personally about GALA, was understanding that this was a place where for me, I became much more out and active in my own community, and I understood how that worked for the singers in our choruses, and it made me feel like whatever skills I may possess, this was a great place for me to employ those skills. There's always been a connection between music and social justice. If you think back to the 60s and the 70s and some of the anti-war movements and the feminist movements, there has always been a connection between music and social justice. And that's really where GALA came from. For the women, it came out of the feminist movement. And the earliest of our choruses was formed in Philadelphia and was called Anacrusis. And it was very much a feminist women's chorus. The men's side of the world started on the other side of the country with the murder of Mayor Moscone and Harvey Milk in San Francisco, and the gathering around the courthouse steps at a midnight vigil, and what was to become the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. And it just got legs under it as a movement, as a way for gay and lesbian individuals who were looking for a safe place to share their struggles and to begin to find a way to heal and to work towards a more just and equal society. What I had set out to do was to develop a different model for the organization based on reducing the operating expenses of the organization, so our staff costs, overhead costs, to a level that would allow us to survive that 4-year cycle and then start rebuilding as we could produce a successful festival, generate some cash flow, and let it rebuild itself, but with a sense of financial discipline that would allow us to not go into these periodic collapses. And with tremendous help from a truly committed board of directors and leadership throughout the GALA organization, we've been very successful at doing that. There's a mix of all kinds of choruses who are part of GALA and everything in between. And GALA is and should be different things to those different organizations. To our largest member choruses, to be entirely honest, we get more from them than they get from us. They are giving back to the movement that many of them started by being members of the organizations, by being mentors to newer choruses, by being workshop presenters. They are critical to doing what we do at GALA with a very limited staff. The smaller choruses, sometimes it's just knowing that you're not in this alone, that the difficulties that you're having, every other gay chorus has had the same problems, and feeling yourself connected to that whole network of groups doing the same kind of work you're doing, struggling with the same problems you're struggling with. And GALA is kind of that way that you plug into that network. We make those connections through Google discussion groups, through festival predominantly, through workshops at conferences, through resources provided through the website, through one of our newest initiatives, a blog on our website where folks can share those member stories. That's the role that GALA plays for those choruses, is make them feel like they are a part of something bigger than just themselves, and that there are all kinds of people out there looking to help and nurture them.